Hi there, and welcome to Blame It on the Inverts. I'm Sean. I'm at Universal Studios Hollywood for the first time since 1999. This is another park that I was very lucky to get to come to as a kid. But back then, they didn't have any roller coasters. Right now, they are testing their third, and it looks absolutely incredible. So once we moved down here, I grabbed my pass, and I can't wait to check out how the park looks now. Let's head in. Now that I'm in, I was thinking back to what was at the park still back in 1999. And I was looking at a list of the attractions that are currently here, and to be honest with you, I only recognized a couple of things. E.T. was still here on the lower lot. The Backdraft attraction was still here. They also had a showdown on the lower lot. I forgot what it was, but there was a Back to the Future special effects segment. They had a Psycho segment, and they basically showed you how they made the special effects in those movies, which was really fun. So I know the entire lower lot is completely different. Even the upper lot, they have the Harry Potter Hogwarts area now. There were some shows there that I know are not there, so, but even the entrance looks nowhere near what I remember it looking like. So let's head to the first roller coaster. When Revenge of the Mummy was first being built, I remember following the construction along, and I remembered some details about the ride. Details that I usually try to avoid looking up now before I get my first ride. But I did remember them, and I was curious about how they were going to actually pull off the layout of that ride. But it was so much fun. I loved it. But now, the other roller coaster is located in the Harry Potter land, and I'm headed back up to the upper lot. That ride on Flight of the Hippogriff was so fun, and yet another roller coaster in Southern California by the German manufacturer Mach. It opened 10 years ago, and it still rides incredibly smooth. Now, before I head to my next attraction, I want to talk about something. If you aren't aware, the author of the Harry Potter books uses her personal money to help get hateful anti-trans legislation passed in the United Kingdom. As a member of the LGBTQIA community, I felt conflicted during my first visit to Universal Orlando a few years ago. And when I was discussing it with a transgender friend of mine, they mentioned that, of course, the author gets a cut of every single piece of Harry Potter merchandise that is sold. However, there's probably only an annual fee that they have to collect on for the parks to be able to use the likenesses. And as far as getting a cut of the admission tickets for the theme parks, it's probably not a thing. And after a very quick internet search, I found that to probably be the case. In addition, there's many team members that are part of the Universal creative team who have spent countless hours and put in so much hard work to build these incredible attractions. So, if you enjoy the magic of the Harry Potter series, like I do, but still want to support your transgender friends and family, buy a ticket to one of the Universal theme parks and come enjoy the Harry Potter attractions firsthand. Speaking of, I'm going to go get my first ride on this version of Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed by Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. I loved the Orlando version, and I also love this version. It's so insanely well done. And the more I ride it, the more I want to like look down below and watch the ride system work as you're going through. It's just so much fun. And on a side note, having been to Universal Orlando and experienced their Harry Potter areas there, I'm really impressed with the Hollywood version because knowing how much less amount of space they have to work with here at this park, I'm still in the Hogsmeade and Hogwarts area, and it's sprawling, honestly. But I have decided to go ahead and stay up in the upper lot. It's a little bit more crowded than it was when I first got here, and the lines are getting a little bit longer. But I really want to see what this studio tour looks like now. So let's head over there. The studio tour first opened in 1964 and offers guests an up-close view into Universal Studios' backlot, where many movies, television shows, and other projects have been filmed. On your way down to the backlot, you'll pass by the brand new Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift Coaster and a row of movie posters from films made at the studios. One of the first things you get to see on the back lot are sets designed to look like city streets. These sets have played major cities from all over the world and can be decorated in any way to help it feel like a specific location. One of the most recognizable buildings here, of course, is the Clock Tower building from the Back to the Future movies. As you make your way into the first soundstage building of the tour, you pass by an old attraction, the collapsing bridge. The trams would drive over that bridge, and it would start to break underneath you as you drove over. Of course, it wasn't actually breaking, and was always a fun experience. This building is home to one of the star attractions of the studio tour, Kong. If you rode the studio tour back when I did, you remember Kong being a huge animatronic ape, and about 10 years ago, the ape was reimagined. I loved the new version, and the way the tram platform moved in sync with the video was also really well done. Next up is a part of the tour that was exactly as I remember it. Earthquake. Another star attraction of the tour is the great white that terrorized Amity Island, Jaws. Jaws has also remained in its original form, and it was great to see the big fish again. The Flash Flood is another part of the tour that hasn't changed. I knew this was where Lady Gaga filmed that scene in her music video for Judas, so it was really fun to see again in person. As you make your way, you pass by some cars used in various projects, which has always been a part of the tour, but used to be much earlier. Then, you swing by the Bates Motel and the Psycho House. This was the first time I've seen an actor at the motel, which was a nice touch. We also passed by what's usually a lake with a sky backdrop. But today it was drained and being used as a parking area. The last two attractions on the studio tour are movie sets. The first, from War of the Worlds. The movie actually purchased the plane for the wreck, and then donated it to the studios for the tour after filming was done. And it's so impressive to see up close. And Nope, where you drive through Jupiter's Claim and experience lots of creepy sound effects, which can play such an important role in motion pictures. The studio tour was really fun. They had a lot of the same attractions that I remember the last time I rode it. Of course, they had a lot of new attractions that were also really, really well done. It was really fun to see the collapsing bridge, honestly, even though they don't use it anymore. And that lake, where they're using it as a parking lot, I've never seen that drained, so that was also really fun to see. Also, they used to have this part of the tour for anybody that came to the park back in the 80s and 90s. It was from the movie The Ten Commandments, where Moses parted the waters. They had that as part of the tour. And there was actually one time when I came as a child, and we sat in the front car of the tram, right next to the driver. And that effect was operated by a little remote that kind of looked like a garage door opener. And I was lucky enough to get to press the button to activate the waterfall effect, which was so fun. Well, the crowds are still here, but the lines are starting to lessen for the rides. And there's a couple of newer attractions back down on the lower lot that I am dying to get on. So let's head back down there. Wow. I don't know why I wasn't expecting to love Transformers as much as that, but that completely blew my mind. It was so incredible. I love the way that the video and the car just synchronized. It was, there was nothing off. It was so fun. And to be honest with you, my face hurt from smiling the entire time. That was fantastic. Now, I mentioned I've been to Universal Studios Florida, but I haven't been on the Transformers there yet. Full transparency, I tend to spend most of my time at Islands of Adventure during those visits. But now I need to check that one out too. That was so much fun. And on a side note, the ride operator did me a solid on that one because the line was being advertised as a 70-minute wait. And I started to sneak into the express line without realizing it. And once I did, I turned around, but the guy was like, "No, go ahead. Thank you, sir." But that means my very first experience for Super Nintendo World is about 45 minutes sooner than I expected it to be. And I cannot wait. Let's go. As if the experience of riding your own Mario Kart wasn't fun enough, then to have the actual courses as part of the ride, the Haunted Mansion, Rainbow Road, like, that ride was absolutely fantastic. I knew it was going to be fun, and I'm already looking forward to my next one. And to be honest with you, Super Nintendo World, it's so immersive and just amazing, and I could easily spend hours just playing around here. It's so much fun. But there's still another couple rides that I want to experience, so on to the next one. Now, the original version of Jurassic Park The Ride opened in 1996. And they announced the reimagination plans for Jurassic World in 2018, and then the new version opened in 2019. I love the newly reimagined parts, especially they had a tank of the Mosasaurus that you got to go through. I thought that was really fun. They even had a part where it tried to crash through and they had spouts of water, like the tank was leaking. That was so much fun. And then the final part, right before the final drop, they had an animatronic Indominus Rex as well as a Tyrannosaurus Rex. To see both of those at the same time, that was so much fun. Now, I saved the last two rides that I had already experienced, but with their original form, for the end of my day today. And I absolutely love that ride on Jurassic World. Now, the last ride for the day is the Simpsons ride. And when I first rode the Simpsons ride, it was originally Back to the Future. I'm very excited to see what this new version looks like. Let's go. I honestly wasn't sure what to expect with the Simpsons ride because it's a motion simulator ride, and if you haven't been on it before, they've got two levels of cars that you sit in and ride, and you all ride at the same time in there's a big movie theater screen type thing with a film being projected in front of you that you ride along to. Now that with the Simpsons, it was such a different feel than it was with Back to the Future. Back to the Future, you were riding in the DeLorean, you flew through with dinosaurs, you went to the Ice Age. It was really fun. With this one, it was themed around Krusty Land. And it was really fun. There was a whole storyline, and I absolutely loved every second of it. Thank you so much for joining me for my first visit to Universal Studios Hollywood in almost 27 years. I loved every single improvement that they have made to this park, and I'm so happy that I decided to go ahead and grab an annual pass. You'll see me here again as soon as Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift opens, if not before. I'll see you at another park soon.